Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Iron Hour podcast. Unbelievably, this is episode 41 from this, our third season as a podcast. A huge thank you to our sponsors, Best Blank Wholesale. They very kindly produced this Iron Hour t-shirt here, which you can see. And I think we've actually got a competition run on social media where you can get your hands on either this t-shirt or the white version. It's Barry here, back in the hosting capacity. I did listen to last week's podcast, and one thing that stands out was when Becky said, "Bring Barry back." So here I am.
That might be to do with the 3-0 defeat she suffered for the Hero Idiot moment of the week.
Well, indeed. I'm joined firstly by yourself, Max, a man who, as you say, made that plea for that exact reason. So thanks for joining us today, Max.
It's all right, no worries. It was nice for once to throw democracy out the window when it came to that one. So look forward to you being given that power back today, Barrett.
Our second panelist this evening, or this afternoon, this morning, whenever you're listening, is a man who was also absent last week. We all missed that Italian flair, I'm sure. So we welcome back Marco Poliga, or is it Marco Zanetti?
Zanetti tonight after recent information. Obviously, going to mention it later, but no, exciting times.
And the final panelist today is a man who works very hard behind the scenes to bring us the Iron Army Matchday vlogs. He does all the donkey work with uploading these podcasts, and also the antagonist of away team footballers. It is, of course, Gareth Holden. How you doing, Gaz?
I'm very good, thank you. Great to see you all. You're like a ray of light.
Like a ray of light. Like a ray of light indeed. So, coming up on the podcast this week, we review the 2-1 win over Scarborough Athletic on Saturday. We look ahead to the game against Oxford City this coming Saturday with our usual spy in the camp, once again speaking to Oxford City's resident poet, published author, Mr. Rowan Waller. We preview that game ourselves and give you our predictions, the usual hero, idiot, a moment of the week, and finally Marco will finish us off with an FPL update because we probably haven't had one of those in a while, Marco, so we want to know. Well, I'm not that keen to know actually where I am in the table, but I'm sure other people are. A bit of housekeeping.
I'm not that keen either. I'm not doing that great.
I don't think you're doing as bad as me.
Yeah. And just to clarify, I will not be finishing anyone off. Right? It's not that kind of podcast.
You say that. The nice young. A bit of housekeeping before we get cracked on. We like to be an informative podcast. So we've got news this week that Ross Barrows has now had his ACL surgery. Of course, we at the Iron Hour podcast, along with all the Iron fan base, wish Ross a speedy recovery. He did a really good interview actually with the BBC this week on BBC Radio Humberside. So Iron fans, we encourage you to go check that out. Of course, we're recording this on Thursday evening, the day before the Scunthorpe Tomorrow event, which will be held on Friday at the Attis Arena. Myself, Max, and I think now Gareth are all booked on to go, so we hope to see as many of you there as possible. Of course, if you're not going to that event, there's something else going on in Scunthorpe on Friday the 21st. The Premier League Trophy and the Women's Super League Trophy are making their way to Scunthorpe and will be in the Scunthorpe Central Library from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday. So pop down and have your picture taken with those two famous trophies. The Vanarama National League have also announced the fixtures for the playoff campaign, so I'll give you those quickly now. The Eliminator A game, 5th versus 6th, will be on Tuesday the 29th of April, 4th versus 7th on Wednesday the 30th of April. The semi-final, so if you finish second, the semi-final will be on Saturday the 3rd of May. If you finish third, the semi-final will be on Sunday the 4th of May, with a final to be contested on either Saturday the 17th of May or Sunday the 18th of May. The Links Cup final date has now been set for Tuesday the 25th of March, once again at the LNER Stadium, Lincoln City's home ground. It'll be against either Cleethorpes Town or Stamford, who of course play each other on next Thursday. And we have the news today that Tom Zanetti has announced on Instagram earlier that the 3-day festival at the Attis Arena is due to take place on the May Day bank holiday weekend. We'll, of course, wait for the club to confirm this, but we've seen it posted now from Zanetti's official Instagram page with a video featuring our very own Rog Rahman. So we've now seen that pre-sale tickets are also available. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of the game on Saturday, Max, of course, it was an emotional day, wasn't it? The return of Martin Maidment.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great to see three generations of the Maidment family, I believe, at the game on Saturday. Obviously, Martin was taken ill at the Gloucester game last season, which A, feels like 5 minutes ago, but B, also feels like a complete lifetime ago. Obviously, Ben posted an update on social media, Facebook, but also on the Just Giving campaign that they've raised. It's been a long journey to get Martin back to here, but he's always been a massive Scunny fan for as long as I've been going and longer. So it's really, really great to see him back at. Hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood. It won't be the last time, and he's currently a Scunny fan with a 100% win record. So let's hope for our point's sake that it's the first of many games for Martin back at the Iron. So yeah, really, really great to see, and big shout out to the whole gang.
Well said, Max. Really well said. Right, let's get into the review of the Scarborough game. So, Gareth, the title of the podcast this week is Carlton Cashes In, and with Whitehall missing out for an unspecified length of time, it really presents an opportunity now for Mark Beck and Carlton Ubaezuonu. How do you think they fared on Saturday?
I thought Beck played really well. I was impressed, but I think it helped him that we had players running off him, players a lot closer to him. He was a lot more. He looked a lot more effective, even though he was effective in the game before. Just didn't have those players running off him. So he was doing the same things. He also had good footwork as well, which a lot of people say he can't play football. He's just there as a target man. He flicked it on, but I thought his footwork was excellent as well. And then Carlton coming off the bench, he looked fit. He looked raring to go, and for him to get that goal as well, whether it was an own goal or his goal, a lot of talk about being an own goal, but he claimed it. That's all that matters. So, hopefully that pressure now has gone and he can be, a bit more confident in his ability to, get the shots away, get the ball in the back of the net. And yeah, I thought they both played well. Obviously, they didn't play together, but they both played well. So hopefully more to come.
Marco, I also thought Beck had a fantastic game on Saturday. Probably his best game, actually, for Scunthorpe, in my opinion. Now, Butler talked in his post-match interview about the fact that Beck occupies two defenders quite often and creates that space in and around him and, of course, wins many free kicks. It has to be said, a lot of fans probably haven't had such a glowing assessment. How do you see it?
No, that's fair enough. Look, Beck has missed chances at key moments in games, and I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. Regarding his overall play, I don't think what we saw on Saturday was too different to what he's been doing anyway. It is just a case of actually getting bodies around him for when he does win those flick-ons, when he does manage to bring it down. I think a lot of, I won't say hatred, that's maybe a tad far, but I think a lot of the criticism from Scunthorpe fans, it is just that. It's key moments at key times where points from the line and he's sort of fluffed his lines a little bit. But look, we're well past the days of your Sharps, your Hoopers, and we're at a level now where strikers do miss chances. And look, Whitehall also misses those chances, but he scores more than often, and Beck hasn't done that yet. But overall play, no. Beck's a good player. Is he a starter? It remains to be seen. I can understand what Butler means when he says he occupies two defenders. So it's definitely a handful, that's one thing for sure.
Yeah, just on Beck, I think there's a couple of bits. I thought Gareth really hit the nail on the head in terms of having runners off him. I compare him to probably the two most successful, big, strong, powerful target men, certainly in my years of watching Scunny, which would be John Gale, or to give him his official title, Big John Gale, and Steve Torpey. And those two strikers never played up front on their own in their life. It's just pointless. You know, unless you're trying to go away from home to nick a point, you're not getting the best out of them. But then also, in terms of missed chances, I mean, I don't know if anybody on Wednesday night watched the Liverpool-Aston Villa game. Darwin Núñez, who I believe Liverpool paid something ridiculous, like £75 million, missed one open goal, fluffed 1-1-0-1, one-on-one, and then even Jota, who's a very experienced Portuguese international, with a really good one-on-one chance, hit it about 25 yards wide. If Beck or any other of our players missed any of those chances like that, we'd be really disappointed. It happens. It not only happens at our level, it happens at the very top of the Premier League as well. So sometimes if you're missing chances, you've just got to try and create more.
Yeah, indeed. I'll come back to you then, Gareth. It seems so. Max has jumped in prematurely. The first goal has been credited with Roberts. In any case, it's good to see us kind of looking a bit more threatening from corners this season. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. We've had some games where the corners have been atrocious and we've not beat the first man. But more recently, they have been looking a lot better. And it's always good to see a player score from a corner, isn't it? There was a bit of confusion at first. When it went in, I didn't know what was happening. All I could see was bodies in front of the goalkeeper in the net, and I didn't know what had happened. And the next thing, they're all celebrating and Roberts has scored. But no, it's good to see, better balls into the box. We've needed them. And I think, it's helping us as well, just with the height we've got in there. Hopefully we can get a few more goals from corners and set pieces. But yeah, no, it's good to see, and long may it continue.
Long may it continue indeed. Marco, again, coming back to Butler's post-match interview, he described it as quite a controlled performance. Again, I didn't necessarily see it like that. I thought we played some of our best football of this season, actually, on Saturday, and we made Scarborough look pretty average at times. How did you see it?
Yeah, in pieces, I sort of do agree with. I feel like, especially off recent form, we've sort of found a formula on how to win games. And like I know Butler said in an interview today, it's all about consistency. I think that's one thing we are starting to see now. Sort of an identity rather than sort of consistency. It's very Tamworth-esque at the moment. And look, it's not pretty. Scarborough wasn't pretty, but with what we've got at home with the pitch, the way it is at the moment, this free-flowing football, wing, but it's not going to happen in a minute. So it's finding a way to win games. And I think, especially at home, I know we had 3 games in a period of a week. I think we really have seemed to hit that nail on the head. And yeah, like I say, we just seem to have found a way to win, which is a really good habit to get into. It's not how you win. And look, I'm sick of saying it. We all said Tamworth last season. I think, touch wood, we're doing a similar sort of thing at the moment.
No, I think that's a fair point. Marco mentioned there about us finding a way to win, especially in recent weeks. And 2 players that have probably been quite influential in that have been Rose and Mo Fadera. And the news on Thursday that both of those have extended their loan until the end of the season. That's got to be good news for the Iron, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Particularly as I don't think people were too sure about whether or not Rose would extend. And certainly when we signed him, again, there was a bit of chatter in terms of, is he actually a natural right back, or is he a centre half? At no point watching him have I thought you don't look like a right back. Look, the most difficult game he's had for us probably was the home game against Curzon. But if you're a right back, particularly if you're defending the Donny Road end, you've got probably the worst area of the pitch. And I'm sorry, but that does matter, particularly if you've got a good quality winger running at you and causing problems, which he did have against Curzon. But excuse me. Look, I'm pleased with both of those signings. I think Fadera has made a real difference in certainly a couple of games, including Curzon. And if it gives us options going into the final stretch of the season, whereas Marco said, you're playing 3 games in a week. We might pick up more injuries. We might just need a little bit more rotation if some player or another drops off in a bad run of form at the wrong moment in time. So look, I like both signings. Think they're good, and I'm sure they'll contribute between now and the end of the season.
Let's hope so, particularly in the case of, I think, Mo Fadera. The other player, Rose, Max, I'll stick with you. Obviously, has taken that right back position and made it his own. Really, as we say, we thought we were getting a centre back really when we signed him. But the news before the game on Saturday that actually Joe Starbuck has now signed until the end of the season. What do you think that does for us as a squad? Do you think that enhances us in any way?
Yeah, I think so. If you've got more bodies in the club, that enhances you by default, you would hope, particularly in those defensive areas where if you can have a bit of extra cover, it insures you against an injury or two. We know that once we get into mid-March, that's the cut-off point in terms of regular signings. You can occasionally, in emergency situations, be granted like a loan for an emergency goalkeeper and stuff like that. But those examples are really quite rare. So, look, I wouldn't want to be getting to mid-March and then one bad injury or one bad moment and you think, oh, bugger, this is going to hurt us for the next 5 or 6 games. So, look, I'm sure we'll see what Starbuck has got to offer as well at points over the rest of the season. Yeah, you can, a bit of cover can go a long way.
Someone would have to remind me, actually, when Dan Langley came in last season for us, that might have been inside that emergency window. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. Marco, let's come back to you then. We've not heard from you in a while. On Saturday, we finished the game with 7 defenders on the pitch. What was going through you? As an Italian, what was going through your head at the moment?
I'm all for it. And look, it's needs must. In some games, Butler's definitely been guilty of doing subs for the sake of it. We didn't actually have a centre midfielder on the bench on Saturday, which in some ways is a little bit concerning because it's obviously a key position. And when we're playing 3 of them in a game, there's every chance one of them will come off. So it was sort of, we didn't really have any other options but to put defenders on. And when you are 2-1 up going into the later stages, it's every man and the dog behind the ball. But look, it did the job. We saw it out. I feel like Saturday was a bit not unrealistic, but without that free kick, they didn't really threaten much in the final third. I think 2-0 probably would have been a fair result.
It was a bloody good free kick, though. It was a great strike.
Yeah, I think we probably do need to give massive props for the free kick. It was one of a lot of the Donny Road end just stood up and clapped. And it was a great strike. But look, it's one of them. 2-1 leads there. You have to defend it. It just shows what we're about at the minute. It's a lot of resilience. We're finding ways to win, grinding out results. It's what teams have done to us. It's what the top teams do. But yeah, I do think that performance on Saturday probably deserved a clean sheet. I was speaking to Stop Me Affiliates, who obviously was on the podcast the other week. And he said, it wasn't the best. And I said, it was just the final third. They didn't really look too bad elsewhere. They looked pretty organised. Obviously, Richie Bennett up front is not the most sort of but similar to us with Beck, really. It really got a lot of pace or movement, but obviously we're both good strikers in our own right. We scored goals at a level above, but it does keep you very one-dimensional when you play a striker like that up top, and I think that was their problem.
Yeah, we'll just clip that one, Gareth. We've got Marco on record there as saying Richie Bennett is a good striker, and I'm sure we've got a clip from 12 months ago which says something.
Yeah, but that previous clip was from Marco Poliga. This one is from Marco Zanetti. It's true. It's a new personality.
Good moves there, Marco. Gareth, we had the news on Thursday in the interview that Butler did with Humberside that there is potential of a striker coming in the building now, and that it looks like Fishburn is really going to struggle to find his way back into the squad, particularly this season. Obviously, his contract expires at the end of the season, so who knows what lies beyond that. What kind of striker are you looking for?
Somebody with a bit of pace, big, strong, somebody that can hold the ball up and bully people. I think that's what, it'll add a different dimension to the game, to the squad. And there's some games that you'll need that, Alfreton, for example, somebody that can occupy, be big and strong. So yeah, somebody like that. I'm sure the 10 a penny. But so hopefully it's somebody like that. Hopefully it's not somebody young and wanting to get the foot in the front door, as it were. So I'm sure Butler knows what he's doing, or the powers that be. We've got Rose in, we've got Fadera in. If it's somebody of the same ilk, same quality that can make a difference, then let's go for it.
Of course, they are quite young players, though, the two that you've just cited. True. Max, what would you be looking for? Someone maybe with promotion experience?
Yeah, definitely out of our division, if possible. That little bit of nous, that little bit of confidence, so that when as a dressing room, I often think in a big game, being able to look round the room and go, right, who's done this before? Are you confident? Do you thrive on the stress, or do you worry about it? Because I do occasionally. Wasn't every big game, but there were a few big games last season where you could feel the tension. Everyone was so desperate to do well that it almost got the better of us. Whereas, the good Scunthorpe sides over many years, whatever division, blah blah, just you got total confidence that they're going to get it done. Yeah, I don't want another Mark Beck. We've already got him. I don't think 6'6". I mean, really, in terms of our style of play, I'm just looking for another Whitehall. Somebody who can be strong, who can be physical, who can be a pain in the backside for defenders, but also, like Gareth said, maybe a bit of pace, a bit more mobile, so we can look to A, feed off others' runs, and B, feed others' runs. So yeah, we'll see who Butler comes through the door, and I'd be surprised if they're not straight in the squad for the weekend, to be honest.
Okay, on that note, let's look ahead to this game against Oxford City with our usual Spy in the Camp. Our guest on this week's podcast is somebody who's been on the podcast before, resident poet at Oxford City, Mr. Rowan Waller. How are you doing, Rowan?
I'm doing very well. It's nice to be back.
No, thank you for coming back on. As I say, we did speak to you in October, just before the Iron and Oxford played at the Attis Arena. That game ended in a 2-2 draw. And it wasn't going great for you back then, it has to be said. I believe you were down, I'm just quickly check my notes. I have you down here as being in 23rd place. Now, things have improved slightly since then, it has to be said. You're now up to the dizzy heights of 19th, 2 places above the relegation zone. So how has it been in kind of the 4 or 5 months since we last spoke?
Well, actually, do you know what? It's actually been fairly decent. So I think Scunny was sort of a little bit of a turning point in our season. So we just, by the time I came on the podcast, had we actually changed the manager? But I mean, we must have done because Scunny was the next game, right? So
that's my next question.
So we just changed manager, and we had a lot of time for Sam. Sam was a really nice bloke. He was a good bloke. I think he's a really talented manager, and certainly will be. But I don't know. I think it just hadn't kicked off. So Ross came back from Boreham, and this must have been maybe it was his second game, Scunny, but it was a result. So we'd gone all the way to Scunthorpe. We were top of the table, I think, at that point.
We were, flying high.
And I don't think there was, I don't think you lot would have had. You didn't even know where Oxford City was. I think when I spoke to you,
I know where Oxford. I know where the geography.
It's like a yellow team down there, isn't there? So, I think we sort of surprised you. And actually, we had a really, really good. I got there at half time. I was working on that day, so I managed to get there for half time. I only saw the second half. By which time there'd been something had kicked off in the tunnel. Our club owner was sitting in the stand with us, so he'd been banned from the sideline or something. So it was, a little bit fiery. And but we had, I remember we had no stand, did we? So we didn't get the away end because there were only 26 of us. So we were sort of shoved in there with the locals. And that was fine.
Can I just tell you, Rowan, that is not the worst away attendance we've had this season either.
Who is?
Rushall brought 8.
Rushall. I was going to say Needham actually take quite a good following, but they'd be the furthest away from you, I would think.
Yeah, I think they didn't do too bad at all, to be fair. Did not do too bad. Scarborough were well supported on Saturday. Curzon, not so good.
What the following?
Yeah, away. Maybe, I don't know, can't remember, 50 or so, maybe a bit more.
Yeah, well, that seems all right to us. But
I'm cutting you a lot of slack here. Oxford is a fair drive from Scunthorpe. If 26 make the drive up, that's bordering on impressive for me.
Yeah. Well, when we normally take maybe a gate of 800 if we're lucky on a home game on a Saturday. So
that isn't terrible, is it?
No, it's got a lot better. So actually, last time we were in this tier, I think our average attendance was more like 300, 350. When we were in South, obviously we had a bit better than that when we went up to National last season, and perhaps that's carried on a little bit into this season. Although sometimes we can definitely get more away fans than home fans on a game.
One thing that stands out to me this season has been your FA Trophy run. I believe you're through to the quarterfinals now against. Is that right?
Yeah, Woking
on the 1st of March. Has that been a nice welcome distraction, or is it?
It's
because it's nice to win games, isn't it? It doesn't matter what.
It has been a distraction. It's also, I mean, we thought we were. So the last couple of games in the league have been slightly against the run. So we were doing all right, and we were doing all right enough to think, oh, we're going to end up finishing, I don't know, 11th, 12th, 13th. But we definitely won't be in the drop zone. So what we can now do is focus on the trophy. If we could, we know we're safe in the league. Let's get a trophy run. And maybe get to Wembley, and it's going to be a good season. But of course, the last sort of three results? Certainly 2 or 3 results was Curzon a loss as well. Yeah, so we got, I think, 3 losses in a row. Maybe I'm trying to work this out backwards now, but certainly just had 2 in a row. And all of a sudden, we are in that 19th place where we were sort of sitting a little bit prettier than that compared to where the drop zone was. So it was a nice distraction until we're now only 2 points clear of relegation, and that feels a little bit more nerve-wracking about putting some sort of thought and belief into what we do against Woking in the quarterfinals of an Isuzu. But if we were sitting pretty, I think we'd be like, yes, let's have a trip to Wembley. Let's see if we can take a trophy home.
I don't want to be this guy. Well, in fact, I love being.
You are this guy.
Yeah, I've got a quote here. So I just listened, just before we start recording, I just listened back to our previous recording back in October, just to hear exactly what it is that you said. And the quote here is, I'm quite optimistic that we'll still make the playoffs. And that's still a target for us. How's that going?
Oh, so that's still my target, right? So we still got 18. We still got 18 games left to go. And I genuinely thought, after we come off the Forest Green Rovers win, so that was 3 league games ago, I think. I genuinely still thought we're going to just sneak into playoffs. I thought
Forest Green Rovers.
Forest Green is who we beat in the trophy.
Wow!
So we beat Forest Green at home to go up to the semis, and if you looked at the form that day, and you looked at the run of games that we had coming up, because we had, for example, Needham Market, who I had every belief that we were going to smash to pieces. But of course, we went and we got busted 4-0. So, and it sort of just changed. So, but nevertheless, I am still like this eternal optimist. I mean, I still think we're going to make safety. But now I'm much more interested in whether we just kind of budge up and sort of hit 14th, 15th and stay there for the season than I am about thinking that we might squeak up to 6th or 7th.
That's fair enough. Makes sense. Last time we spoke, we kind of drew the comparisons and the differences between our 2 clubs. And I think the biggest one we found was the biggest difference being the fan base. I wouldn't say ours are fickle, but we are very fickle. We change it, we turn on a sixpence. And I think with Oxford City, you certainly described that there's a lot more leeway, a lot more kind of understanding that football isn't necessarily a linear journey. It's kind of up and down and moving all around. What have the fan reaction been like this season? Because obviously you have dropped down from the National League, and there is a potential, although it might not be massive, there's a potential for a double relegation.
Yeah. There's not, so you don't get vitriol, you don't really get much vitriol at Oxford City.
Which is what we do, clearly.
Yeah, you'll find it when you'll come down on Saturday and you'll be taking the mickey out of our quiet fans because we don't sing, we don't chant. You'll be making a lot more noise than we will down, especially when you're down in the shed. So I think we're just I don't know what it is. We're more like we've come up from from a long way down. It's a Phoenix club, and it's we were wanderers in the 1990s, I think, or certainly the late 80s. And it's taken a long time to build back up from playing in the park to getting to where we are now. But in the meantime, we lost the fan base. So whereas Oxford City was the biggest club in Oxford 80 years ago, Oxford United is by far the biggest club now. So our numbers, our best numbers that we'll get on a Saturday will be when Oxford United play away, and they'll lend us some fans, and they'll come in their Oxford United shirts, and there's absolutely no problem with that. It's just a very gelled kind of community. But it's almost like sometimes it's unfair to say it's like watching the polo, because people they are watching the football, but they are there sort of stood on the side, and it's just we're observing what's going on, and there'll be occasionally somebody will shout, "Come on, City!" And that's about as sort of fired up as we get. Occasionally we will. You'll suddenly hear a chant go off, and now Canis Carroll's back. You'll hear a few more chants, I think.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Resident Poet, but it seems to me that what you're painting here is a picture of you kind of not really caring. So if you lose, well, so what? We weren't even trying. I'm not buying it.
I wouldn't say it's not quite true, but we do care, but we don't. It doesn't really dictate. For a few people, they really care, and it dictates how they feel for the rest of the week. But for most fans, we'll shrug it off if we lose, and then we'll go off, and then we'll come back a week later and watch another game as if it's
totally. Yeah.
So
I'm only teasing you. Let's talk about a couple of players. First off, Corey Andrews. He's got 9 goals this season, but obviously your top goal scorer went off injured in that Needham Market game that you mentioned. A decent player who's this is the lowest level he's played at. He's played at the National League and League Two, in fact, with Colchester. Mm-hmm. Is he a big miss for you guys?
Yes, he is a big miss. But on the other hand, I think we're missing a different sort of striker. So yeah, he is a big miss. But we've got players, for example, like, I don't know, I'd say even Alfie Potter can fill in the same sort of role that Corey Andrews is, because he gets himself into the box. He scores quite a lot at sort of short range. And actually what I think we miss more is somebody who bangs it from sort of 20 yards and 25 yards, because we do struggle to get through the sort of the back line of defence. We get down to the final third often and then just can't find a way through. And I often wish we just saw a bit more sort of chance taken in that sort of that middle third, just to sort of bang along one and try and catch the keeper out. And even if it gets a little rebound, you might have then, someone like Corey maybe running and popping the rebound in. But that's what I think we miss a little bit more than Corey. Although Corey's always a game changer when he's on.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He scored. I think did he score at Scunny? I'm sure he scored at Scunthorpe.
Everyone scored at Scunny.
We'll have to look back.
But we don't care. We don't even take it seriously, mate. Another player that we talked about there, you mentioned Canis Carroll, having returned from, was it Salisbury he was at? So looks like his last game for you was in, correct me if I'm wrong here, but he played for you in October last, went off, has come back now, and was sent off inside 60 seconds on Tuesday night.
Did you say he played for us in October?
Yeah, that's what I've got on my stats.
So I don't think that's correct. I think that we haven't seen him since we've dropped. I don't think he came back to us after pre-season.
Okay, so, interesting.
That's who for me, that's who I've said we've missed all season is Canis Carroll.
So when did he go out? Sorry, it might have been that he went out on loan in October, or he went out to Salisbury in October.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. So I don't know the story there. He was
what an informative podcast.
I think he was almost signed to Solihull Moors, and then that didn't quite come off. And then I don't think there was a place for him in the first team to come back to. And I don't know what happened there. That sounds political to me, or someone's had a bust up, because there should always be a place in the team for Canis Carroll, in my opinion. I love Canis Carroll.
You're right.
I love him so much. And then, yes, and I know what you said. He come on yesterday, and 10 seconds later, he's got a red. But I wasn't there yesterday. I couldn't make it, and I'm a bit gutted about that. But the attitude that for the fans who did go, and the manager as well, and he's not a liar. He tells it pretty straight, is that it was never a red. It should not have been a red. 10 seconds in, when we travel distance, it's a coming together, probably yellow. I think either Lino or fourth official said it's a yellow, and refs pulled a red out of his pocket 10 seconds in. And how much does that change the game for a club that's scrapping for every point at the bottom of the table against a team who's pushing for a promotion place still, Kings Lynn. So I think that was I think the sense I got from the people who went was actually, although we lost 2-1, it was a brilliant performance from 10 minutes for 95 minutes against a team that should have had us bent over. And there was some sloppy mistakes. I think the 2 goals were sloppy, but we were in it right to the end of that game. It was a 2-1 loss. It could have ended up squeaking a draw. And actually, the point is that comes off the back of the meltdown that they had in Suffolk on Saturday. It's only 4 days ago, is it? Where they capitulated and lost 4-0. And I think it's the most dismal performance people said they can remember seeing from a City team. So that's more interesting to me, that they didn't just roll over, having come off the back of that embarrassment in Needham, and just roll over and give up when they went down to 10 men, because it would have been easy to do so. But actually they showed some fighting spirit and resolve. And that's more important to me, thinking what's going to happen over the next 18 games and where do we finish up in the table, than whether we won or lost yesterday.
That's all you can ask for, isn't it? A bit of bites from your players. Finish us off then, Rowan. Give us a score prediction. How do you see this one going on Saturday?
It's really boring, but I think it's going to be a draw. I think we're gonna get a point back, and it's going to feel like a win because of what we need to do next. So we're going to have it's going to be a strong performance. You're going to be surprised again. And it's going to be goals. So I think it's going to be a 1-1.
Can I just say, there are not a mass of Scunny fans that think we're going to walk through any team this season. And
really?
Oxford City are no exception. You might see the odd one on Twitter, but I can assure you that is not representative.
Hello.
What was that?
Chris Chafer.
Yeah, listen. What's said in jest, yeah? We can't be held accountable for that.
Can I just say, we had a lovely time in the pub at Scunthorpe afterwards. We went to, obviously there's no beers in your ground, is there? But we went to, I can't remember what it's called, and it's a, whatever the plastic pub is that's just on the sort of the trading estate.
The farmhouse, was it? Yeah.
What's it called?
The farmhouse.
Yes, it is. And we got treated to several rounds by a couple of Scunthorpe fans there, and everyone was really good natured. It was a lovely day out.
If you'd beaten us, you might not have got those pints. That's all I'm saying.
I genuinely think. I mean, that's what most people said, is that they were more commenting on how we didn't deserve the place we had in the table based on the performance they'd seen.
Yeah. Well, complimentary as ever. Thank you for joining us on the INR podcast, Rowan. And best of luck for the rest of the season. Saturday excluding.
Yeah, well, good luck. I'm sure you'll get promoted, mate. See you soon.
Okay, it was really good to hear there from Rowan Waller. And just to clear up that situation around Canis Carroll, the game on Tuesday was, in fact, Carroll's first one for Oxford City this season. And as Rowan suggested, he went out to Salisbury in October and then re-signed just before Tuesday's game, and of course was sent off inside 60 seconds. But because of the 7-day rule, we expect he will be available for Saturday's game against us. Now, speaking of confusion, Gareth, before our game on Saturday, there was a lot of talk around Andy Boyce's potential ban. At least we can put a line under this now and say he has now received 10 yellow cards for the season, so he'll miss 2 games.
Yeah.
How do you expect Andy Butler will reshuffle his pack?
It'll just be a straight swap, surely, for Evans. It gives Evans a chance to get 2 games in. Depending what happens with Max as well, because he's on 9 yellow cards, he might get an extended game or 2 as well. So, but it'll be a big miss, I think, that we've been settled at the back. Boyce there, he's going to get his head on things unless he's ill. But yeah, no, it'll be a big miss. Like I said, we've had a settled back 4. The goalkeeper can trust him. So yeah, Evans has got to come in and replace that, replicate it, and go from the get-go. So obviously it's a lot different, coming on as a sub and not starting games. That match fitness, I mention it all the time. You've got to start from the get-go and hold on for 95, 96 minutes and be big and strong and just have that fitness. So he's a fit lad. So why not? I think it'll go well.
I like how Gareth mentioned about Max Coogan having 9 yellow cards as well. I think there's something about that name that attracts yellow cards. I don't know what it is. Although I think I got 9 yellow cards in 3 podcast games, never mind an entire season. So it was my manager, Marco. I'm sorry.
Bringing out the Italian in you. Marco, looking at the home form table, Oxford City all the way down in 20th, having shipped 29 goals this season at home. Only Farsley Celtic and Radcliffe, so Farsley have conceded 31. Of course, their home situation's just been insane, so we can discount them from the conversation. And Radcliffe having conceded 33 at home this season. Do you think we can exploit that?
Well, we're due a win, aren't we? We're due winning a clean sheet.
That is the other side of the coin. Yeah.
We're due a clean sheet. No, yeah, definitely. there's no reason for us to go there and not be on the front foot. I think how we ended the game at Curzon, and obviously going on to Scarborough and getting 3 points. And again, like I said, I think we played well. I think a good performance. I never thought I'd say this, but their pitch will be better than ours. So it's something we could play football on, which should suit us. We're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot by playing at Gonford Park at the moment because we can't sort of play our own game. But look, I do think we'll be on the front foot. If we can get an early goal, hopefully it's going to be one of the cases where not the floodgates open without being disrespectful, but we can go on and get 2 or 3 goals and kill the game.
Is their pitch plastic? Oxford City's.
The answer to that question is one I do not know.
I think it possibly is.
But even if it's plastic, I think Marco's probably still going to be right. It's still going to be in a better nick than ours.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Scarborough Beach is in better nick than ours.
I think Sinsel Bank Beach is better nick than ours. As a retro reference here.
It's 4G.
Nice.
Does look nice.
Yeah. Good little ground from what Rowan was telling me. And Max, one thing that Rowan did mention as well was the fact that, City they're underperforming this season, particularly considering they were in the National League last season. There's a potential there that they could face a double relegation. Now, things have picked up, obviously, under Ross Jenkins, the man who initially took them up to the National League. Again, a similar question for what I asked Marco. Do you think they're there for the taking?
No, I don't necessarily think they're there for the taking. I think they'll make it difficult for us. I am not massively surprised by their placement in the division this season. I mean, I had them coming in the bottom half in our pre-season predictions. I know they did get promoted out of the National League South the season before last, but I think that was an overachievement. A terrific effort. Genuinely, they've done really well. But also, traditionally, the National League North has always had at least a reputation for being stronger than the National League South. Yeah. We saw it with Bishop Stortford last season when part-time clubs at the very southern tip of the National League North, they do find it difficult. They find it difficult to retain players, increase your costs. It comes with extra challenges. So I don't think they'll go down. I'm looking at the table now. Rushaw, Farsley and Warrington already look a little bit adrift. There's plenty of clubs down there in the mix. I do think Oxford City will stay up. But look, I'm looking forward to the trip. I mean, I lived and worked in Oxford, and I never made a trip to Oxford City. So it's a trip I'm looking forward to making. And in a weird sort of way, I don't mind the odd long trip because you can sort of pretend for a day that it's not regional football. That well-known northern county of Oxfordshire. So as long as we bring back 3 points, it'll be well worth the trip.
Yeah, indeed. Gareth, Max said there it's hard at the tip. Of course, we know it is. Now, there's only been one.
That is no. That is not what I said. You're not. I'm not letting you get away with that blatant fabrication.
Anyway, so Gareth, only one defeat in the last 15 games. You need to go all the way back to November the 9th, the last time we lost at home, going 3-2 down to Buxton. What do you think's changed?
System, formation,
everything,
confidence. Yeah. Just but I think that's a big thing, isn't it? Everyone was moaning about 5 at the back. We've changed it round, swapped things around, and from then on, we seem to have just got on a good bit of momentum. Confidence seems to be flowing a bit more. It's a shame the pitch is like it is because I just feel that if it was grass, they'd be a lot more confident in their abilities. I think, the formation, the system, and just, that's all I can put it down to.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. You're not a very conversational guy, are you? You kind of drop it.
I mean, it's truth. What can
I do with that? The pitch is a state.
Yeah. So if the pitch was in a better state, then I think we'd be a lot better position.
It is a leveler, though, isn't it? It is a proper leveler.
Yeah, because you're not playing just against the team, you're playing against.
But it's not level.
Well,
Yeah, but the only thing I would say is that I thought Gareth made a really good point in the podcast we did after the Curzon game, which is that Buckley Ricketts out for them on the left-hand side. It didn't look like he was struggling with the pitch. For a real pacey winger, you would be worried about the ball bouncing and you're losing your footing and you're trying to change direction quite quickly. Good players find a way. You look at some of the footage for what was a standard allowable play game quality pitch in the 70s and the 80s, and those games, you wouldn't play Sunday league games on pitches like that nowadays. So look, we've got to get around it. As you've said, the pitch away at Oxford on Saturday is 4G, so no excuses for me. I do think we'll miss Whitehall, but you've got to find a way. You've got to find a way to win games, even without your best players.
Can I just go back to our pitch as well? What was pleasing to see was at half-time, the groundsman with his roller, trying to roll the divots out. Genius. But anyway, that's it. Just made me smile.
Chocolate fire guard springs to mind, it has to be said. On Sunday, Mark, I don't know if you've seen this, but I did a little tweet and I did a comparison between this season and last season after 32 games. The observation being that we're on exactly the same amount of points, 61. We're in the exact same league position, second. The big difference being, at this point, we are just 1 point behind the leaders, Chester, whereas this point last season, after 32 games, we were 12 points behind Tamworth. Now, in terms of what we might need to go up automatically, I think most of us would agree we won't need those 96 points that Tamworth got. Might be closer to kind of 90, 91. Do you think there's enough in the tank in the squad we've got now to get us to that points total?
Yeah, for sure. The big difference being there's no Tamworth. I think any of those top 4 or 5 will all be fancying the chances. It's very competitive up there. And look, today's a really good, to me, a bit of intent, bringing a lot more depth in, keeping Rose, Fadera, obviously not resting on our laurels with Whitehall's injury, bringing another striker in, as Butler said. And I think that's all down to the case where the board and Butler, they see this as a really good opportunity to get promoted. And look, it's in our hands. That's one thing. We're behind Chester. That game looks like it's going to be an absolute cracker at Glanford Park. So yeah, look, there's definitely positives to take. If you compare the 2 seasons, I don't think we've not necessarily improved on last year. I think we're probably in a similar sort of position. But like I said, there just isn't that team running away with it. What's more frustrating is I feel like we could have done earlier on in the season with results and the frustrating draws and how we started and showed how we could do it. That's what's more frustrating. But look, we are where we are. And I think, like I say, it's in our hands. It's up to us to grab that.
The crazy thing is as well, obviously last season we finished second with 88 points. Right now, on the points per game total of every team in the National League North, that'd be enough. Yeah. Like, unless one side goes on a good run, a better than average already run in the last dozen games, 88 points will be enough. We've said it before and we'll say it again. Tamworth got 96 points last season, and that was with us beating them on the opening day, and the fact they took their foot off the gas last season, towards the back end of the month, in my view. They could have very, very easily gotten 100 points if they'd been really in the thick of a big, nasty title race towards the last half a dozen games of the season. And in a way, the inverse of that's been shown this year. At the start of the season, right, boys, it's going to be us and Kidderminster. Then there was a time where it looked like it was going to be us and Curzon. And then there was a time where we always thought Curzon might run away with it. And now I'm pretty sure they've dropped out of the playoffs. Then Brackley were up there for a bit. Now it looks like it might be us and Chester. No side, and I include ourselves in this, has yet taken the chance to really put your foot on the gas. I think Tamworth had 2 different runs last season where they won 9 out of 11. Those are the kind of runs that win you the title. We have been on a good run. If we can have one more run like that this season, we'll get over the line, I think. Even though I'm not personally convinced we are as good a side as we are last season. If you get promoted, who gives a toss?
No, look, it's the Sam Allardyce school of thought, isn't it, Max? It's like you deal with the cards that you're given, and at times Butler's played pretty expansive football, and at times he's played pretty defensive football. It's horses for courses, and to be honest, I think there's too much said about we need a brand, we need an identity. For me, it's about we need to get results, and I don't care about a brand or a style of football. I just, like, if anything, I respect pragmatism more, taking each game on its merits.
Yeah, I genuinely I would agree with that. And actually, even more than Allardyce, I would use the example of Tony Pulis. People forget that when he went to Crystal Palace, and actually did a pretty good job at Palace, played a very, very different style of football than what he did at Stoke. They were a counter-attacking side, but the ball was on the ground. They were using the pace of Balassi and Zaha. They didn't have 8 6'3" lads and the longest throw in. The reason why fans lost their patience really with five of the pack wasn't because we've all got some kind of emotional objection to playing with 3 centre halves. It's that it wasn't working. It wasn't getting the best out of the players that we had, and there was a bit too much of square pegs into round holes for the sake of the system. And I don't care what that system is. It's got to get results. And look, right now we're in a really good position to go on and get promoted. If we can just keep this run of form going for another month, we might actually be in an even better position at this rate anyway.
Indeed. Right, before we move on to our hero edit moment of the week, the clock is ticking, but we have a question here from Mike Jackson, and I'll ask you, Gareth. Which key player's contract, sorry, I'll start again. With key players' contracts expiring in the summer, if you could renew one, who would it be?
Got to be Whitehall.
Correct answer.
Whitehall for me.
If he's fit. Not
Well,
injured.
yeah. But yeah, no, it's got to be him for me. Just his all-round play. No, Marco.
Well, Marco, quickly then, what are you thinking?
I'd have agreed with Gareth until the last 10 games. Cal Roberts is irreplaceable.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Look, Roberts would be probably second on my list, but I agree with Gareth. I would go for Whitehall, scoring the goals, and generally, I know he's ironic saying this when he's about to go injured. Whitehall's injury record over the course of his career is better than Roberts.
I'd probably go Fitzsimmons, me. But,
hey, mixing it up, I like it.
Yeah, right. Let's move on.
You love a goalkeeper. You do love a goalkeeper.
Also, just bring it up. Probably the 3 highest earners.
Yeah. What are they good? Anyone but them 3 lads. Literally anyone. Also, you want
Coogan. Yeah, Coogan's on a few quid. Let's have him as well.
Sharp is listening to this going, I think they want Fishburne to stay. Right, hero edit a moment of the week. As I say, I think we've got about 10 minutes to get through this. So, Gareth, kick us off with your hero of the week.
Sorry, just someone else want to get a drink.
Okay, Marco, who's your hero of the week?
You watch. I'll have Gareth's. Mine is. It's just in general. It's Farsley. It's their GoFundMe page. So everybody who's donated. Look, we know better than anyone the state we were in and what we needed, and how the football community really rallied together. And we wouldn't be able to have this podcast if it wasn't for people donating and helping out. So yeah, everybody who's donated, I know they've mentioned a lot of Scunthorpe fans have helped, which is great to see. So yeah, the Farsley GoFundMe, and again, just a little plug. It is on Facebook, it is on Twitter. Please donate if you can, even if you can't donate, just to share or retweet and make other people see it.
That's a good answer. Max, who's your hero of the week?
Mark always gives the best answer, and you should give him the point. My token gesture was Carlo Ancelotti, who gave the best answer for why a player's red card should get rescinded in the history of mankind. When Jude Bellingham was alleged to have told the referee, F you, he said, no, he didn't. He said, F off. And in English, that's different.
Technically, it is different.
Genuinely, I think it is. Like, depending on how you say it, like, you could definitely say it to yourself in frustration. Yeah, and I don't know if Bellingham did because I wasn't there. But when it comes to managers playing their hands that they're dealt, I thought that was a great effort from Carlo. And look, the team spirit there is clearly pretty good because they played Man City midweek and absolutely spanked them. So, good shout out to Don Carlo.
How good did Mbappe look, by the way, midweek? Gareth?
If he keeps his head down, that French lad, I reckon he's going to have a good career.
He's going to be a good player, yeah.
It'll be all right.
Great to see you back, just as he drinks more.
Thank
Who's
you.
your hero of the week?
My heroes of the week are the Peterborough and York officials for agreeing to the extensions of Rose and Fadera. But obviously, give Marco the points.
I will give Marco the points. They have to get the points. I mean, huge love to. I nearly did what Max always does there. And I know
it's like fucking Eurovision.
I don't know why I did that.
It was like Eurovision with the last podcast because Becky got nil point.
And there he is. Right, so I'm going to give the points to Marco, of course. Let's move on to Idiot of the Week. Is that right? Hero, Idiot, yes. So, Max, who's your Idiot of the Week?
So, apologies for butchering the pronunciation, but my Idiot of the Week is Luis Rubiales, who's the ex-head of the Spanish Football Federation, who this week was found guilty of sexual assault for kissing one of the Spanish women players without her consent, and he's been fined. Clearly, an absolute wrong, and I've got all the respect in the world for the Spanish female team. A, for winning the Euros, but then B, also for standing up to what is a bloke who should, in my view, never work in football ever again. So sorry for a serious answer, but it's the one I thought of.
You are not going to like it if we win that charity game because
Marco, kiss me anytime.
Put the cuffs on me now.
Gareth, who's your Idiot of the Week?
My Idiot of the Week is the referee in the Marine Kidderminster game for sending off Reynolds in like the 32nd minute, the Kidderminster player, for
winning the ball.
for winning the ball. When the Marine player had gone down to head it at knee height, if not lower, and sending him off. And he might have been obstructed, but surely the linesman on that side has seen what's happened and should have intervened, but they never do. So, the officials are my idiots of the week in the Marine Kidderminster game.
It was 1-1 when he got sent off, and 5 minutes after that red card, Marine had scored twice. It's game over. Like if you're a Kiddie fan in that away end, you're just furious. Yeah.
Marco, who's your Idiot of the Week?
Keeping a Champions League theme with Mbappe. I don't know if anyone's seen this, but the Atalanta red card.
That's a great one.
I will reshare it off our Twitter account. He's gone to take a quick throw-in. Atlanta are losing, and he gets obstructed. He then wants to take his anger out by throwing it as hard as he can at the back of the player's head.
Completely fluffs it.
The ball drops to the floor. He doesn't throw it. He falls over. And then just out of sheer embarrassment, I think, chases after him through the ref and flattens him. Couldn't be more a red card, but the definition of a head loss. It was brilliant.
Look, honestly, if your local plumber did that at a Sunday league game, you'd be going, Dave, what the effing hell are you doing? Like,
also captain.
Yeah. Proper head loss, almost Callum Robert-esque against Curzon. Esque against Curzon those last couple of minutes. I'm going to give the points to Gareth for that one, which means, Max, the best you can hope for is a draw. And we head on to the moment of the week, and I'll go to you first for your moment of the week.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get it here. But my moment of the week was the first game ever played at the Bramley Dock. Everton's new ground. The stadium looks great. I've been past it on the seafront. It's an amazing engineering feat. It's a shame that Goodison Park will be no more, but fair play to them. It was Everton under 18s versus Wigan under 18s, and it turned out that the first player to ever score at this new ground was a massive Liverpool fan, like wheeling away, giving it the 6 as to how many Champions League leagues Liverpool had won. And I just thought, look, there's something so fitting about that. In a perfect way. Of course, the first goal scorer was a massive Liverpool fan. So yeah, that was my moment of the week.
It's a good one. Marco, what's your answer?
I think mine's not funny. Mine was really, really did make me happy, and it was seeing Martin back at the Ice Arena, and the full Maidment family. Massive shout out! It was fantastic to see, and
That's the correct answer.
them moments are why we were saved. And no, so good to see. Oh, and let's hope we can see him again soon.
Go on, Gareth, follow that.
Martin and superfan Toby as well, can I just say?
Love that.
Gareth, yeah, I mean, it's a tough one.
It is, yeah. But my moment of the week was Mo Fadera coming on in the game against Scarborough, and then 20 seconds later, in the sand, playing beach football with his Rabona pass back out to Beeston. Just shows the confidence of him, and you know, it was funny. He had no need to do it, but he did it, and he just made me smile.
Good answer. I'm going to give the points to Marco, though.
Yeah.
Wins it, of course I am. He wins this week. Let's have our FPL update then, and then before we finish, we'll have our score predictions ahead of this weekend's game.
So I won't be finishing anyone off, but I will give you a quick little run through.
It's hard at the tip.
Look, if you're going to just make stuff up, like, you know, at least make it funny.
Gareth, I'll let you. You didn't reply, so where are you in the fantasy football?
Oh, I am 67th.
Oh, that's actually impressive.
See, now, if you'd been 69th, that would have been funny.
So, massive shout out. She's not here tonight, but obviously, other member of the Iron Hour. Becky is currently 35th. Now, in a league with over 280 people, that is some going. So, massive shout out to Becky. Barra, he's struggling. We spoke about Oxford struggling. Barra is on another level. Barra's currently rocking 249th place. It's not ideal. We've then got Max, who seems to be tumbling at a rapid rate in 202nd. And then me, bang in the middle with 125th.
I came like 60th last year. I'm gutted.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time. And look, with the chips now, with the assistant manager, which has actually done me a bit of favours. There's a lot can change. But the standard in our league is very good. So if you're not in the top 100, do not worry. Plenty of time. But yeah, look, with the new assistant manager chip, a lot has changed this last week. A lot of double game weeks. If you had Salah captain, you're laughing. So yeah, no, still one way to go. And again, thanks everyone for taking part, because like I say, it's a really good standard.
I had Salah captain and I'm still 202nd.
Right, let's have some predictions then ahead of this weekend's game against Oxford City. Gareth, kick us off. How do you see this one going?
3-0 to us. Feeling confident. Yeah, 3-0.
Nice one. Marco?
3-1 Iron.
Break that. Max?
1-0 Scunny. I think it'll be more difficult than people think. I think we'll miss Whitehall, but we'll find a way of getting it done.
I'll go 2-0 Iron. So we all
four different scores. I like it.
All wins.
All positive. It has to be said. So thank you for listening once again to the Iron Hour podcast. Here's hoping we get to 50 episodes before the end of the season. A huge thank you once again to our sponsors, Best Blank Wholesale. If you'd like to order any Iron Hour merch, then you can message Gareth and he'll be more than happy to get that sorted for you. And until next time, safe journey to all of you for Saturday and up the iron.